Have you ever said to yourself, what happened to that little child now that I have my teen who's all mouthy? What happened to that little boy or that little girl? We're going to talk about teens today, and Karen Wagnon, parent coach, behavioral specialist, is here. She's going to introduce her course that she's doing on teens. Really, really interesting. I know for myself, the teen years were really, really challenging, especially with the first one, because we don't know what the heck we're doing. My name is Dale Ecuyer, and I help families find solutions to bring health and harmony into the homes.
It is. Dale, thank you for having me talk again today about how to parent your teen when you are going through all the emotions, theirs and ours. So the course that I'm going to be doing is a Chaos of Confident Parenting crash course as compared to a 5-day challenge, but it's on how to tame your tween or teen attitude without becoming completely unhinged. And this was just a really difficult time for parenting. And I think a lot of it was because I didn't understand what was truly going on. You know, I'm used to my kids being sweet and kind, well, except for Kyle, because he was always a little mouthy. And then all of a sudden, it seemed like overnight they changed. I mean, nothing I did changed. They changed, and they did. There were a lot of things going on, as we understand, in our teenagers between their hormones and physical changes, emotional changes. And these are a lot of the things that we're going to be discussing in this particular crash course, because I think when you understand what's going on with your child, you have a different viewpoint or a different perspective. Because let me tell you, I took it personal. My kids were getting sassy and mouthy with me. I took it personal. What are you doing? You can't talk to me that way. I mean, who do you think you are? I mean, and now next thing you know, I'm engaging in the emotion, which just made it even worse. So there are just a lot of things that I just want to share with parents, you know, the what and the why, what's really going on inside of them physiologically, why it's happening. And then how do we manage that? We will get through the other side, but it doesn't have to be as nasty as it is. Now, and let me give you a few other things that we need to be aware of with our kids. Not only the physical changes, but what is going on in their lives, in our communities, in their communities has really changed. And what I'm talking about is social media. So if it was not hard enough to deal with the fact that at different ages, girls will start to grow breasts and boys get facial hair, and they do that at different ages. I think, you know, my daughter was 10 and I was 12. I mean, now you're looking at others and you're comparing, and the social media can just be so cruel to kids who are just growing and developing at different stages. Either you start early and people start criticizing you, or everybody else is going and you're developing late and people criticize you. I mean, can you imagine being in a teen body, especially when everything is on display, looking for that recognition and approval and those likes on social media? These are a lot of things that I just want to talk to parents about, that we just need to be aware of how we can guide our kids through this turbulent time. And I say turbulent time because it is. Look, Dale, you and I are both women. We know a cycle, right? We know a cycle. And there are times in our cycle when we know, but I knew I was mean. I just felt like I was mean. And I had to catch myself. But for a teenager, they're not catching themselves. They're just like, they're saying, what's going on with me? Why am I feeling this way? And they don't know how, because they don't understand. And so therefore, we get all the little hyper attacks and the attitude and the sarcasm. And we're like, whoa, like you said, what happened to my sweet kids? Like, where did they go? I want them back. I want them back. And you will get them back if you don't wreck it in those few years of this transition. Their social hierarchy changes. We're not cool. It is not cool to be with your mom anymore. I mean, it's just not. And my daughter and I, we had real relationships, and all of a sudden we go out and she doesn't want to walk with me. She doesn't want to be around me. And I felt rejected. Did you feel rejected with your kids? It was like,
so I love what you were saying about the emotional part. And I remember I took a couple of specific teen parenting classes when I was raising my first child. And I remember the instructor saying, don't listen to the tone, listen to the words and respond to the words. Don't respond to the tone, which is like, whoa, I don't know about that.
But that's a great tip. That is incredibly great tip. And one of the things that I want to share with parents is you do need to listen to the words, because When the amygdala is developing, we will experience a level of aggression. That's the tone, right? That's the tone. They're just feeling aggressive. We will get a few things: fight, flight, or fear, right? We talk about that when emotions are happening. Some kids want to fight, some kids want to shut down and regress. And even when they do, and they just get quiet, and then we're trying to find out what's going on, I would get what I called sniper attacks. All of a sudden it's like whoosh, where'd that come from, just very harsh and very critical, towards me, and I'm just trying to find out how you feeling, what's going on, and they don't want to talk about it. And the more you push, the more they're pushing back, that they don't want to, until it becomes this outburst of like, what the heck just happened here? So I just want to share some tips and strategies on how do I navigate through this and get to the other side and still have a relationship with my kid. Because that's really what we want. And I don't think we can change the fact that they're going to change from the children that they were to go through adolescence and the teen years to get to the other side. The brain doesn't fully develop until the age of 25. We know that, right? We know that. And some will mature earlier, usually our girls, than our boys. And I want to share the knowledge with parents that if they understand what's going on, they can approach it from a different perspective, not be so offended, and know how to navigate through that with the strategies of how to communicate through this period of time, how to set boundaries through this period of time, and how to accept what's really happening. I think the hardest part for me was recognizing that my relationship was changing. I mean, did you go through that? My relationship is changing. The relationship that it was when they were solely dependent on me is now changing because they're becoming independent. And I think as parents, it was hard for me because I had to change my mindset, my interaction as to what our relationship was going to look like as we got to those years. And I remember asking, my daughter at one point, what do you need from me now? And I didn't say it in a sarcastic way. You know what I mean? So what the heck do you want from me? I didn't say it like that because that's what I was thinking. I said, I know, you're becoming so independent, and I love your drive and all the things that you're doing. Just let me know what you need from me now. I don't want to be in your space, but I want you to know I'm still here for you. And I don't believe she really had an answer for me at that point, but at least she knew that I was aware that things were changing, that I needed to give her independence, that I didn't need to be. I mean, I remember, particularly, even, do you ever take your kids to the mall, and after a period of time, they don't want to be with you at the mall? Just take me to the mall. They want to be out on their own because it is not cool to be shopping with my mom.
Right.
That's their independence. And that's them wanting to develop relationships outside of the family with their peers.
Yeah,
but if you don't have that relationship of trust where they are telling you what's going on with their friends, see, I had a good relationship with my kids that they were able to tell me the things that were going on in their peer groups. And I did have the open home where everybody came. I'd rather them be at my house so I can see what's going on than my kids be somewhere else and not know what's going on. but that was just me. I had the open home, but it really is a turbulent time. Another thing I just want parents to be aware of is the social media aspect and how hurtful it has been to our children, how the increase in depression and anxiety and suicide, especially with the tweens, has increased 185% since the introduction of social media in 2009. How powerful is that? Our kids do not need phones at the age of 11 and 12. Statistics say that we should probably wait till 16. I don't know anybody who's waiting till 16. But if the specialists are saying that our children do not need this device to allow this to pour in to affect their psyche and their self-esteem, maybe we should listen to that. Because when I hear about suicides in these young children, it breaks my heart. I mean, I get physically ill because I have children. That could have been my kid, right? So these are just some of the things that I want to talk about, get on the table. Parents, you can choose to do whatever you want, with social media and your kids, but we can't allow the peer pressure of everybody else's kid has it and then buying into it, because I think that's what's happened. Everybody has it. You know what my kids needed a phone for? To call me for a ride. That's all they needed a phone for. That's all they really needed a phone for.
Right.
Anything else, I'd rather them be on the internet around me so I can see what they're doing.
Right.
But that's not
So,
happening anymore.
so for parents, first of all, I just want to say, having raised 5 kids and
Yeah.
going through those teen years where you feel that, I just remember feeling like, oh my gosh, where's my little sweet, I just remember
Yeah.
feeling that way. And knowing now what I know is that you get through those years and you learn, you reach out to understand where they're at so that when you get through it, your relationship is still intact on the other side.
Yep.
And that's the most important thing. So don't lose faith that you're never going to have that sweet
That's
kid
right.
back,
That's right.
because my older children, we have a beautiful relationship and a loving relationship. And that's what you want. So don't let those teen years and all that turmoil ruin the relationship. So give us something that we can do if there is turmoil. And I know there's a lot of parents that feel like trying to control their teenager or their tween. You know what I mean? So what can we do to stop trying to control our kids?
Well, and stop trying to control it is number one, recognizing, the what and the why, recognizing that they are growing to be independent. That's our job. It's the circle of life, right? Is to raise them to be independent. And we need to open the gate a little bit. We need to allow them more responsibilities of things that they do on their own. So we're opening the gate a little bit more, allowing them some level of responsibility and not always telling them what to do, how to do it, where to do it. I mean, we just need to have open communication. This is where we start transitioning from our parenting style to being more of a parent coach. I became the mama coach. I'm guiding my kids. I would rather my kids make decisions that were good decisions or decisions that were not so good decisions. So I could coach them through the process of what happened, why it happened, and what will you do better next time? Because if we control that environment and we never let them think on their own, as soon as they get out the door, number one, they're going to rebel. And number two, they're not going to be able to think their way out of a situation they created because we never allowed them to solve their own problems. We need to allow them the opportunity to fail. I know parents don't want to hear that. We need to allow them the opportunity to fail while they're in our environment and not with, I told you so, with empathy. Bummer. I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah.
What do you think you might want to do to fix it? And what would you consider doing next time? What do you think might be a better choice next time? And our tone matters. See, this is going to be understanding what's going on with the team, but I'm doing this for the moms and dads who don't know how to handle their own emotions, right? I mean, we have to handle, our
Yeah.
kids are going to go through adolescence. A lot of it is our response as to whether we're going to get through it to the other side and not become completely unhinged, right? Because I was becoming unhinged and I had to say, whoa, what's really going on here? And navigate myself through it. How am I managing my emotions when my kids are going through it? How do I manage my emotions when they make those boneheaded choices? How do I handle my emotions when they choose to not do their homework and fail a course in school? How am I handling my emotions so that I can still have that relationship and guide them through? Yes, the control really we need to loosen it up a little bit, and we need to leave them an opportunity to start having more responsibility on their own, letting them see that their success, and if they fail, not rubbing their face in it, but again, encouraging them that, okay, bummer, what do you think you're going to do? Can I make a couple of suggestions on how you can solve that problem? And then say, let me know how that'll work out for you. We don't need to helicopter. We don't need to solve it for them. We need to guide them to become responsible young adults. So rather than criticizing them, and look, our kids are going to have differences of opinion. They're going to start wearing different types of clothes based on their peers, all these things. Look, there's a battle in the war. I know when my kids were going through this, I would go to the mat for their character, but I had to let go some of the clothes things. My daughter was never a hoochie mama and any of those things. But I remember, my son wanting to get into this saggy baggy pants stage, and I was just not a fan. But I had to let him experience how silly and ridiculous he looked.
Right?
And I did tell him, you know what, you can wear whatever you want, but if I see them underpants, I will pull up your pants and put the belt around your neck. No, just kidding. But I mean, like, you're gonna have your pants up to here now, But I mean, but I had to let it go, and sooner or later he just grew out of it. But there's the battle in the war. If you feel as though you're going to ride them every moment from the fact that they don't make their bed, that they leave a mess in the kitchen, and how they dress their clothes, and how they're doing in school, oh my gosh, it's all day long. And some parents are living in that all day long.
Yeah. Not a good.
Criticizing and condemning all day long. And know what? Then our kids really don't want to be with us. So we're
Right.
going to talk about how do we manage our way and navigate our way through that time parenting without becoming unhinged.
I love it. That is going to be chock full of great stuff.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited about what I want to share. Yeah. Looking forward to everybody coming on. So if you are in the tween years, and let me tell you, it's starting around 10 and 11, right? Because adolescence and the hormone changes are starting younger now than it was, Dale, when you and I were going through it. Okay. So our kids are starting this early. So we start to see these attitudes happening. But these attitudes are happening because kids are going to start maturing at different ages. It's not like you can expect 12 or 14 anymore. It really is going to be 10 and 11, and it's all going to be different. Kids are all different, but I want parents to be prepared when it starts happening, that you know how to handle it and you can get to the other side.
You know how to like stay calm. So just one last thing before you go, to give our parents some like verbiage, like say, because I'm thinking around 10 years old, especially the girls, right? They get really mouthy, like really fresh. Even younger now, actually.
Yeah.
Even younger. What is something that you can, like the verbiage? What would you say to a young child that's getting really mouthy and really sassy? How would you?
Well, a couple of things that I teach is, first of all, sometimes no words are better. Sometimes it's just the look.
My mother-in-law had the look.
Right? I mean, like if they got sassy with me, I could just give them the big eyes, like,
yeah.
You know, because as soon as I say, who do you think you're talking to? Or I don't like your tone. Or if I want to use a compassionate statement, I could say, I'll be happy to talk about this when your voice is as calm as mine. But I have to be calm, mind you, right?
Yes.
You
Bingo.
seem really upset about this. I'd be happy to talk about you. I'll be happy to talk to you about this when your voice is as calm as mine. And if we need to talk about it later, that's fine. But I'll be happy to talk to you about it. Or, and you know, I've used this one before, the neutralizing arguing. I love you too much to argue. I love you too much to argue. Our kids are going to ask to do things that are probably not safe because, of course, with the development of the amygdala, they will also, they're more apt to take risks in those teen years, those risks. And so they want to do something, and you may have to put down the boom and say, no, I'm not a fan of that. I don't think that's a good idea. That's probably a no. And they're probably going to want to debate, and everybody else is doing it, and so did it. And you know what, honey? Sounds like you want to argue about it. I love you too much to argue. And you know, I've shared this story, and if anyone has done my training and in my course, that was the statement that saved me from arguments, especially with Kyle. I love you too much to argue, honey. Sounds like you want to argue about this. You know what? I love you too much to argue. And like you said, the tone, me keeping my tone calm. Because Kyle will be like, but I'm not arguing. And I'm just like, you know, it sounds like you want to argue. And honey, I just love you too much to argue. When I am saying I love you too much to argue, how is he going to twist it back? After a while, he just gave up. You know, let your no be no. Yeah. Especially when our kids want to do unsafe and risky things. You know, they want to go to a party. They want to go travel in a car with somebody and it's far away. I mean, you are still the parent. Parents, you are still the parent. You still get to choose. And this is not going to be life or death for your kids. They're going to hate you. They're going to hate you for a couple of weeks. I remember my daughter wanted to go. She was a freshman and she wanted to go to the senior prom with a senior. And I said, no. And because there's a different expectation, and she was a cute little girl, and I was like, nope, you will have your senior prom and it just won't be this year. Well, why can't I go? And he's this and this, and we're in drama together. And I said, I know, honey, but you know, you'll have your senior prom. Sounds like you want to argue about this, honey. I love you too much to argue, but you won't be going to the senior prom this year, but you will go for yours. And I just had to stay firm. I love you too much to argue. You know, I was protecting my daughter from anything that could have happened that would have put her in an awkward position, right? As a freshman. And so parents, you are still the parent. Follow your intuition. Follow your gut. That's usually right. It's usually right.
Perfect. Love it. Yeah. And sometimes they want us to say no, but they're asking us to say yes. But deep down inside, they know.
Yeah, that's the boundaries, isn't it?
Right?
That's the boundaries. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah,
yes. So I'm so looking forward to any parents that want to join us. If you're in that preteen, come on in. If you're already parenting teens, come on in, because I am truly going to help you get through to the other side of this and hold on to your sanity.
All right. Thank you again, Karen. Always amazing. All right.
Thanks, Dale. See you guys.